Great. Thank you so much, Steve.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for taking some time out of your Thursday here to join me. My name is Steve Clark. I'm the client engagement manager for Ownerrez. A little bit about my background. So I am a property owner as well. I have a vacation rental, just one. I'm not a big PM like probably some of you are, but I have a property in Blue Ridge, Georgia. But I live in Tampa, Florida. So I'm 9 hours from my rental. So I knew when I got into this, I wanted software to help me do what I need to do. Plus, I have two kids and a busy life, just like everybody, right? So I wanted as much help as I can, automating things. And this was my first time. I'd never had an Airbnb account or Vrbo account. I had booked privately through them, but didn't know one thing about hosting. So I said, look, I need software to help me. And so from day one, I think, the minute I was still working with my realtor to buy my place, I started searching for companies and I landed on Ownerrez. So I was a Ownerrez user before I worked here. Used the product for about a year, and then somebody in one of our Facebook groups, very similar to yours, we have an unofficial Facebook group. Somebody in there is like, Steve, wow, you know the software so well, they should hire you. And so here we go, 3 years later, I am now, the manager of our engagement team. So, anyways, but let me go ahead and share my screen. I'll share the slides here, and we'll get into what Ownerrez can help you guys do. So, all right. So I'm sorry, I'm not a big Zoom guy. We use Google Meet internally. Is everybody seeing the screen now? Is that?
Yeah, I can see it, Steve.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so and if there's like an ask a question box or maybe in chat wherever, if you guys have any questions as I'm talking, put those in there. I already told Ellie and Ari, if there's something I'm talking about that needs to be addressed, they can tell me and we'll cover it then, or we'll get to all the questions at the end. Whatever works best. I'm flexible. So Ownerrez on the screen, it says Ownerrez is the powerful, flexible way to manage one-to-many vacation rental properties without a large staff. It says put away your spreadsheets and get the booking management, automation, reporting that gives you the control to do more in less time. So that's the biggest thing, is automating some of these processes. You're all with Airbnb now and things are working fine, and as long as you're just on one channel, it's probably not that difficult, right? But as you start adding other channels, you want to branch out, you want to market on Vrbo, you want to market on Home to Go, you want to market on booking.com. And then eventually, hopefully, you want direct bookings too. I mean, we are a big proponent of direct booking. We think, that's kind of the gold standard. You use these channels to get marketing, get customers you would never get otherwise, right? Like I always tell people, Airbnb and Vrbo, they have enough money to run Super Bowl commercials. You can't do that for your direct bookings, right? So we use Airbnb and Vrbo when we're getting started, and maybe at first you're 90% channel bookings. But eventually you start getting those repeat guests and friends and family and whoever else, and you get to the point where you're 50% direct bookings. That's that much more money in your pocket. That's, your guests are happier because they didn't have to pay all those channel fees. So, anyways, but what Ownerrez lets you do is help you manage all of that. So now you're not having to manage each channel individually. And how we do that is through these tiles here are what we call our verticals. So the primary one is channel management. That's what we set out to be, as the best channel manager we can be. And how we accomplish that is through something called an API. API stands for Application Programming Interface. It's just a very fancy way of saying Ownerrez, our server, is going to talk directly to Airbnb server. We're going to talk directly to Vrbo server. So, if you are on multiple channels now, maybe you have an iCal going from Airbnb to Vrbo to block off those calendars, and that works okay. But the problem with iCals is they're on a time basis. They only update every 30 minutes. So there is still the chance to get a double booking along the way. Might be slim, but there's a chance, and nobody wants a double booking. Those are not fun. So with the API, it's instant. You get a booking on Airbnb, that comes into Ownerrez, and we immediately pass that to every other channel you're collected to as a block. They don't see where that booking came from. They don't see any of the details of the booking, just that those dates are blocked so that nobody else can book. So that's number one. And then on top of that,
Yo tengo que echar gasolina, ¿qué tan lejos estamos?
oh, yeah, on top of that, you'll find as you start doing this that there's other things you want to do. Maybe you want to use a dynamic pricing engine like Price Labs or Wheelhouse or something, or you have your cleaners use a specific cleaning app and you want to be able to connect with them on that. So this next slide talks about integrations. We have over 100 different partner integrations that basically Ownerrez still has all the booking data and all of that's flowing into Ownerrez, and then we can easily pass that to these other people to do these other tasks for you. So we make that a lot easier as well. The next one is property management. So if you're not a single owner, you're starting to, or maybe you're a single owner now, but you're like, you know what, I really like this short-term rental stuff. I have some friends and family that are doing properties and they need help with it. Well, now that you're using Ownerrez, you could add their properties into it and you could help them manage it as well. And that's where property management comes in. Or let's say this is your business. You have 30 properties in your portfolio and you need a way to track commissions, to track expenses, to track all these different things for your various owners. That's our property management module. And that is a separate module. It's a premium module. It costs a little bit more than the regular software because it does that much more. But, we don't, some of our competitors, they just roll everything into one price. And the problem with that is, you as a single owner might, not need property management, but you're paying for it. So we break things into modules so that you only pay for what you need. Next is reporting. So the other thing, once you get on a multitude of channels, it becomes difficult to know how you're really performing. You have to download a report from Airbnb. You have to download a report from Vrbo. You have to look at your direct bookings, in your spreadsheet or whatever. And you kind of got to merge all those together to find out what your true occupancy levels are, your average daily gross, or things of that nature. So we have a ton of different reports. Since all that data is in Ownerrez, you can run that report very easily and see all of that data. Accounting, what we talk about with accounting is, like I said, if you are doing this just manually now, Airbnb, of course, is going to collect and remit the bookings payments for you. But what about everybody else? If you do rent to a friend or family member, you're having to tell them, well, just bring me a check, or leave it under the doormat. I don't know, however you're collecting that money. We obviously make it easy. You have a credit card processor you can hook up to. You have rules. So maybe I collect 50% of the payment up front, and then I collect the remaining balance 14 days prior to arrival or 30 days prior to arrival. Ownerrez does all of that for you without you having to lift a finger. So you never have to look at it and say, man, did I collect the money on this? Did I not get the money? How much is owed? Ownerrez is going to show you all of that. So that's what we mean when we're talking accounting. Websites, this all goes to direct bookings. If I'm going to show you a little bit, a couple slides later, how we do that, but lots of ways to connect to different websites. Messaging, probably my favorite feature of Ownerrez. I mean, of course, Airbnb has built-in scheduled messages, but we take it to the next level. We allow you to make, templates and triggers that send out regardless of what channel it comes in. So you can basically treat all the guests the same. And you can send that via email, SMS, or through the messengers. So you can set up, templates that go through the Airbnb messenger and right from an Ownerrez. So once again, rather than having to say, well, this was an Airbnb booking, let me log in there to message them. Or this is a Vrbo booking, let me log in there to message that. Robert, okay, awesome. Anyway, so rather than having to log into all these different places, you just log into Ownerrez and you can message every guest regardless what channel they're from through that. And the last is CRM. This is something people kind of overlook, but it's really important. On your Airbnb guests, after the booking's done, you don't have a real great way to contact that guest. Airbnb looks at it as it was their guest. Well, we really believe that it's your guest. Airbnb is a marketing partner that helped you get that initial lead, right? But they stayed in your home. You provide the service. It's your client. So we help you capture all of that data so that maybe 6 months down the road, you can send out a mail out or something that says, hey, you stayed here 6 months ago. We'd love to have you come back. Here's a discount code. We'll even give you 5% off your total booking if you come back. So anyways, that's CRM stores all of your previous guest information so that you can stay in contact with them. The next thing I tell people, everybody's like, well, we hear there's hundreds, thousands of PMSs out there. How is Ownerrez different? Why should we use Ownerrez? So, a lot of people, I think when they ask that question, they want us to go into feature by feature, how we're different. Well, I mean, we do feel that Ownerrez is a lot more robust than some of our competitors, but overall, a PMS, a lot of us do pretty much the same thing. It's just how you do it. The big thing with Ownerrez was we do look at speed as a feature. So as you grow your portfolio, when you get up to 10, 20, 30 listings, Ownerrez stays fast and consistent across. Some of our other competitors, it starts to slow down as you add more properties. I've heard from some people, they're like, yeah, basically when I go to change the screen, I may as well go get a cup of coffee and come back because it's going to take that long to refresh the data. Ownerrez, I'll show you in the demo portion real quick how fast that is. But the other thing we talk about is our partnerships with our other partners. So Verbo, for instance, you see we're an elite partner, Airbnb, Preferred Plus. These are all their top levels. Sorry about that. The dog heard something. But these are all their top levels. And with Verbo, for instance, they have hundreds of partners. Only 9 are elite. So that's something when you are looking at competitors and whatnot, ask them, what their relationship is with, the big ones, Verbo, Airbnb, Booking.com. Because that's important. I mean, we meet with them. They're always changing things, and we need to adapt to that. And due to our relationships, we're able to do that very quickly. At the bottom here, the GetApp, Capterra, Software Advice, these are third-party review sites. I always say don't rely on any sales rep. Don't rely on what I'm telling you. Don't rely on if you go to one of our competitors, what they say. Go to these places. These are independent review sites, and you can really read what true users have to say about that software. Next is people say, well, that all sounds great. What's this cost? We don't want to pay an arm and a leg for this. And how much does everything cost? So we try to be as transparent as possible with the pricing. If you go to ownerrez.com, there's a tab right at the top that says pricing, and you'll see a calculator that looks just like this. You put in how many listings you have, and it will tell you what your monthly price is. In these gray boxes, as I told you before, there's premium modules that are separated out. If you want to use property management because you need to track a commission for an owner, you would just click include and it would tell you what your monthly price is. And that's it. We don't charge a percentage per booking. A lot of our competitors do. They'll say, well, we're going to charge you 1% of every booking you make, which on top of maybe a monthly flat price. That 1%, although it doesn't sound like a lot, it adds up fast. So, we don't feel like, why would we charge you more just because you're more, you're more successful? No, we have our rate. This is what we feel Ownerrez is worth, and that's what we charge. So, reporting, as I said, there's probably 30 different reports. Tons of different things. You can look at occupancy levels. If you do give Ownerrez a trial, I tell people once you have data in, look at the line item pivot. That really shows the most data, and I'll show you that when I get to the actual software. Or look at the taxes. My property in Georgia, I got to pay taxes monthly, so this is a report I run every month. Now Airbnb, if you're only on Airbnb, they're going to collect and remit the taxes for you. But a lot of the other channels, especially direct bookings, you now have to collect and remit those taxes, right? So this is something to look at. So, and the tax report makes it nice. It will actually just show you the bookings that you did collect tax on. So all the Airbnb bookings won't even show on that report, right? So even though your gross revenue for the month is $10,000, if 8,000 of that was Airbnb bookings, it's only going to show 2,000 as your gross taxable revenue, and show you exactly what you owe on that $2,000 or whatever. Website. So like I said, really believe in direct bookings. So if you don't have a website now, you've never had one, but want one, using Ownerrez, we have what's called a hosted website. And I'm going to show real quick in the demo how you can make your own website in like 5 minutes. People always say, no way. I'm not a developer. I don't know how to build a website. How can that be possible? But really, it pulls all the data from Ownerrez, and you can make a fully functioning direct booking website in about 5 minutes. If you do already have a website, somebody built it for you, you paid a developer $2,000 to build you a site, but maybe it's just got a simple, hey, if you want to book, contact us. It's got a contact us form. Well, you could replace that contact us form with our booking widget, for instance. And now it would pull up the actual availability, pull in the rates and show them a quote, and they can book direct from your website without ever having to contact you. Or maybe you're the type you want to be contacted. Well, we can make that an inquiry instead of a booking form. And then, an inquiry would come into you. If the back end is WordPress, if you use a WordPress website, you're familiar with that, we do have a WordPress plugin that you would use in conjunction with the widgets. The widgets, there's 5 widgets: the booking form, reviews. This search bar is a widget. So I'll show you more, but you would use those on a WordPress plugin, but then the plugin itself would pull in all the photos from Ownerrez, the descriptions, all the great stuff that when you change it in Ownerrez, it's changed on Vrbo and Airbnb for you. It would also change directly on your website. So that makes it super nice. And the last one here is integrated API site. This is if you are working with a developer, or maybe you're super technical as well. We have a listing content API so that you can pull all this data directly from Ownerrez to put it on your website. Messaging. So messaging, I say this is my favorite feature of Ownerrez because I really think it helps save me the most time. I know if I get a booking right now while I'm doing, this presentation, that it's going to send out my first email to them, which we have a rental agreement, an e-signed rental agreement. So I send that to every guest, Airbnb, Vrbo, whoever, that says, hey, thanks for booking through Airbnb. There's still a couple of questions we have, and we also require everybody to sign this renter agreement. You can put that right in your house rules too. Every guest is required to sign an agreement. That way, if you ever get a guest that says, I don't know, I've been booking on Airbnb for 15 years, I've never had to sign something outside Airbnb, I don't want to do that. Well, to me, that's a huge red flag. My property is worth $500,000. I'm asking you to sign one piece of paper, that's basically an agreement with me, not Airbnb, so that not only what I expect of you as a guest, but what they can expect from me as a host. It's an agreement both ways. So if I ever get anybody that says, I don't want to sign it, I explain to them, well, first I'll say, have you ever stayed at a hotel? Because anytime you're at a hotel and you're given that credit card and you're signing on that pin pad, you're signing an agreement. It's just so small that you're not reading it. We're actually giving it to you to read, and if you don't want to sign it, that's fine. I get enough business. I'll cancel your booking and find somebody that will sign it. And generally, they're like, but I look so long. I love your property. I really want to stay there. Yeah, I'll sign it. So but anyways, it's the great. The big thing about having an agreement is on a lot of these channels. If you guys can mute yourselves, or somebody on the host mute them. Anyways, thanks. So, anyways, the important part about having an agreement is, let's say it is a direct booking or one of these channels where they're not collecting the funds for you. You're the merchant of record. Well, they could do a chargeback on their credit card. They could claim, well, they didn't provide what they said they were going to provide, so I'm going to do a chargeback. When you have an e-signed rental agreement, you can now fight that chargeback. So that's why they're important. But anyways, back to messaging. I send that out. That captures more data than what the channel provides. So like Airbnb doesn't send you a real email address anymore. They want all the messaging on the Airbnb Messenger. But I send through the Messenger this link that says, hey, sign my rental agreement, which Airbnb allows. And during that process, I capture their real email address so I can send them emails after the fact. But like I said, it's all templates. You make a template of what you want to say, and then you make a trigger of when you want that to send. And as we see here, it's like saying hi, and there's a variable, hi guest name. And when it sends to the guest, it says, hi, Joe. And I get so many people, if you actually look at my personal reviews on my website, on Vrbo or Airbnb, people are always like, wow, Steve was the most communicative host I've ever had. Like, I never had to ask him for everything. He was always Johnny on the spot with the answers. And I just laugh because I never talked to that guest. I never lifted one finger. Ownerrez sent it all to them for me. So, but yeah, that's the main things we do. I'm going to show you the software real quick. Let me just go over to sorry, I'm in my pull up the product here. So that's our main website, but then right from there, you can go right into the software. So this is what an Ownerrez account looks like. Like I said, this is the main ribbon calendar. So if you're not used to using a PMS, the great part is I can see every booking, across multiple properties from one screen, regardless of where they came from. So Vrbo booking, Airbnb booking, whatever, it's all at my fingertips. And then if I want to see more information about that booking, like today is the 4th, so this guy's arriving today, let's say, I can click into here and see all the information I want on that booking. The total, um, what their contact info is, when the booking was made, all of this good stuff. If I go across the top here, I can see what the breakdown of the charges actually was, how much was rent. Once again, remember this is a demo, so it's not live data. It would probably actually be more detailed coming over from Airbnb. Um, Transactions, this is where it would show any payments that are made. If it is a direct booking, it's going to show you their card that's on file, things of that nature. And right from here, if it was a direct booking, and let's say they added, maybe I came here to charges and they said, oh, I want firewood. Do you have anybody that provides firewood? Yeah, I can get you some firewood. I'll sell you that. I can add firewood to the booking, $25. Save that, and then I could come over here to transactions, and if I had a card on file, I could just go ahead and collect the payment and run the card for that additional charge. Um, each booking inherits its own rules. It inherits it from what you have set on the property. But let's say you made a quote for your mom, and you didn't want to collect 50% up front from her. You could, when you create the quote or booking, you could come in here and change the rules and say, for this person, I'm only going to collect 10% up front. And then the remaining balance is due 30 days prior. So a lot of cool things you can do in here. But yeah, if you are ever looking at starting, want to give Ownerrez a try, we have a 2-week free trial. During the trial, you're going to be emailed. They're going to email you about the setup checklist. And I would really recommend going through this step by step. I'm a guy, and let's face it, I don't want to follow directions. I want to dive right in and do what I want to do. Well, doing that can make things not work great. So definitely follow the setup checklist. Go one step at a time. Each step we have written documentation for. If you click into here, there's even more details. Or we have little 5-minute videos. We realize people learn different ways. I mean, I'm a big visual learner, so you can watch the video and then kind of follow along and do what you need to do. So yeah, that's as you're going through setting up the account, that's what I would recommend doing. Last thing I'll just show you, and then we can get into some questions and whatnot, is I told you I'd show you how to make that direct website. So once you have all your properties in Ownerrez, and we do have a way, just FYI, it's covered in that setup checklist on how to import the properties. So you don't have to, if you're already on Airbnb, you don't have to build them from scratch. You could come in here and put your public Airbnb URL. So it's gonna, you don't want to use your vanity URL. You want to use the one that's the actual number of your property. But you would put that in here and you could just say create a new property. We're going to bring in the rules, the description, the photos, bedrooms and bathrooms. We're going to bring all these things in so you don't have to recreate them. But that really gives you a jump start on setting things up. But anyways, once all your properties are in place and you say, well, let me take a look at this direct website. All you have to do is go to settings, and we come here to hosted websites. And I'm just going to create one just for you guys. So we're going to say, optimize my Airbnb website. And I'll call the site title this. I just want to name it something so you guys know that I didn't pre-create this. I'm creating it on the fly. We're going to do multiple properties. This is going to be the name of the test location, which is fine. Ownerrez's website is totally white labeled. So if you owned optimizemyairbnb.com, and that's what you want people to go to get to this website, you would just, put that in here. Now there's a document here you can click on and tell you, we don't sell you the domain name. You own that. You buy it wherever you want. GoDaddy, Namecheap, Google Domains. And if you go to this, it will tell you how to set the DNS so that it points to our website. DNS stands for Domain Name Service. So kind of a techie thing there. But anyways, then you just select some options for the website. I like the rate shown on the calendar, so I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep all these things. Not all my properties have pictures, so for the demo purposes, I'm just going to select, let's see, I know the Eagles ones have, I'm going to do these 3. Oops. We need to filter. Let's just do Eagles. All right. So that's it. Few settings I select. I'm going to hit save. Then you have a template. These are just starting points. Let's use this one. This one's got some colors at the top and whatnot. So I'm going to say use this one. I'm going to click save. So that's it. Even with me talking you through it, I just made a website. So here's the test link. If I open this, we now see, it's pulling the first picture from each property, here in the header, but you could change that. You could go in and pick what pictures you want shown here. But like I said, this is just really fast out of the gate. It pulled my template, my logo from Ownerrez. There's a theming section in Ownerrez where you set up your logo, your Facebook page, your, Twitter, all of that, so that's shown on every email you send out of Ownerrez as well, but it's also shown on your hosted website. But now we have this cool search bar, similar experience to, anybody that's used Airbnb. Most people do start with dates, and, they say they want to search on these dates. Comes back, okay, all 3 properties are available for those dates. So they really like the look of this one. When they click into it, it's made a property page very similar to what they would see on Airbnb, pulled in the photos. I guess I don't have a description for this property, but normally the description would be here. And then the rates are shown on the calendar, got a map of where it is, all of that good stuff. And here, since I already put in the search, my dates, it kicks back a quote, here's how much the booking is. And when they're ready, they'd put in their information and click book now. It would take them through a couple more screens where it has them sign that rental agreement I talked about. It collects a credit card, and then the booking's done without you ever having to, and then we're going to send blocks over to Airbnb and Vrbo and wherever else so that nobody else can book these dates. So that's how a hosted website looks. Just to show you, this is my personal website. So obviously I've spent a little more time to do things, but, on my homepage, I've, really customized it, added some photos, told them things they can do in the area. So, the world's this is a third-party widget I added to collect, name and email addresses for anybody that comes to my site. But, so even though it is a hosted website, you can do quite a bit with it. So a lot you can do here. We can add a blog. I tell people, as far as SEO is concerned, a lot of people I know they want, and I know that's what this group helps you with, is how to improve your SEO for your Airbnb listings. SEO for websites, one of the best things to do is build a blog. I get more people. I have Google Analytics installed on my site, which the hosted site supports. I get more people that come to this blog post than anything else. If somebody coming to Blue Ridge, Georgia, and they're searching for, what do I do with my kid in Blue Ridge, Georgia? They find this article. And, those people, maybe they've already booked a place, so they're not going to book mine. But my hope is they bookmark my site. Maybe they're like, wow, this is pretty. Let me bookmark this. And next time we're in the area, we'll come here. But anyways, yeah. And then this is the booking widget, so this is my live availability from my website. So, if somebody wants to book, they just select the dates and it tells them the quote and they can, go from there. So that's direct bookings in a nutshell, but I'll probably stop talking there. I've talked a long time. And I see there's some chat in here. So let me take a look here and see what everybody has to ask. So, all right. Bonnie asks, question on pricing. If I have multiple properties but only need one direct booking site, do I have to pay monthly for all properties to have direct booking? So yeah, the way our pricing works, so it is based off of the property. So here in pricing, let's say you had 10 listings. You didn't say how many you had, and that's fine. But let's say we have 10. The core fee is $127. If we now want to add a hosted website, you see it goes to $170. So it's about $43 a month to have a hosted website. I know people say, well, that seems like a lot. But in the end, that's what, $500 a year or thereabouts. If you go try to find a developer to make you a website, it's going to start at $2,000. So $500 for the year really isn't that much. And if you get one additional booking that you wouldn't have gotten directly on Airbnb, the hosted website pays for itself. But that's how it works. I mean, obviously, if I increase this to 11 properties, these are the breakpoints, these little dots. So you can see, adding one property only added $9, and that's for the software and the hosted site together. So the more properties you get, the less it is per property. Obviously, if I'm at one, the core fee is normally 40, but when I add a hosted website, it goes up to 55. So it's $15 a month for one property. But now when I add that second property, it goes up more. So anyways, that's how the pricing works. Hope that answers that. Question on the host website. Can the cover image on the template be a video? Yes, it can. It is very kind of a small video, unfortunately, though, I will say. So here in the hosted website, oops. I hate when I'm on Zoom or the software doesn't do this normally, but when I'm in a call, it jumps on me. So anyways, I come in to host a website and, well, I'll just go into any of them. It doesn't matter. On that homepage over here in the body, or I'm sorry, it's hero unit. You'll see normally I'm using the property thumbnails. Like I said when I was talking, we could make a custom image instead, and I could pull in 5, images of the local area or whatever. Or I can do a video, but the video, it says it's got to be at least this big and no more than 10 megs in size, which isn't a very big video, truthfully. So just realize that you definitely have to make sure the video fits those needs. Would it work on Duda or only on WordPress? So I'm not real familiar with Duda, Ellie, but if Duda supports HTML blocks of any kind or embedded HTML, then the widgets will certainly work on Duda. Now, we don't have a plugin for that, but the widgets, just to show you, so let's say I want to make a property widget. So here's one that's inquiry only. But you come through and you set how the settings for that widget. Like for instance, I'm going to have this one be inquiry only instead of book now. Once you set it all, down here there's code. See how it jumps? But anyways, there's this embed code. You would copy this, and right now I'm just copying this widget is for Autumn Ridge, the property Autumn Ridge. So I'd copy this and put it on my Autumn Ridge property page. Now, if I want one for Beach Bum, I just change it to that, copy this code, and paste that into whatever type of website. But yeah, 99% of the CMS type websites out there, accept HTML embedded code of some sort. So these should work. This basically, if you do know a lot about websites, this lives in an iframe. So it's kind of totally separate from the rest of the content. So anyways. Bonnie asked, question on pricing, is CRM an added cost? No, that is part of the core software. So, yeah, I mean, you'll see here in the system, once again, remember this is a demo account, so that's why it all looks very similar. But, we would capture the first and last name of the guest, email address, phone number, physical address. So, and basically you could go and you could filter all this and export it all to Excel or CSV. So you could include that later in a campaign manager like Constant Contact or MailChimp or something of that nature to do mail outs. So question, once I import one listing from Airbnb, how do I get it to push to all the other platforms? Yeah, so once it's all set up in Ownerrez the way you want, basically you would just connect the other API and it will push automatically. Now, on some of them, we have different directions for, each channel, works a little differently. So, if I wanted to connect Google Vacation Rentals, for instance, I would come in here and just set the settings. And Google Vacation Rentals, the settings are very easy. This is all it is. If I have a hosted website, and you see I have a ton, right? I can either point it to the hosted website, or I can point it to what we call our global landing page. Because what Google does is they don't take a booking like Airbnb. They're purely just a listing site. It's totally free. So, but they have something called pricing accuracy. So we need to be able to control that the price we're sending Google is the exact same price that client's going to see when they come to a website. So rather than push them to your direct website, we push them to what's called a landing page. And the landing page is pretty slick in that, let's see, I think I can show it here. Well, actually, it's in the quote tool now. Let's see if oh, yeah, remember GVR is kind of new with us. So let me go back to where I was. I'm pretty sure just to show you what a landing page looks like. But it's really slick. It allows them to book, and they can change their guest count and stuff like that. So let's say they went to the GVR site and they chose your property to book. When they go to book, it would bring them here. Now, in this case, the arrival dates that my sample are not correct. So I basically just say, well, we want to change the dates. All right, they want to stay the 28th through the 1st or whatever. Well, this property I've got a 7-night minimum. So it's like, okay, well, no problem. We're going to say the 28th through the 4th instead. So now that I've met all my rules, everything's good to go. It shows them the quote and everything, and they can go in and book. And then this would go through the rest of the booking process, just like a direct booking does, where it has them sign that rental agreement and gets the rest of their information. So yeah, that's how GVR works. But yeah, it would just push automatically. There's nothing now. Like I said, on Vrbo, let's say you're not on Vrbo already. There you would have to create a Vrbo account first, but you wouldn't create any listings there. And once you actually connect the API, it would just push all the listings over as new listings. So someone had a question about the checklist. Is there a video available that shows you how to go through the checklist? Yeah, I mean, so let me just come here. So this is cool thing in our search on our website. It searches our support section, everything. So here's our setup checklist. We don't, that's a good thing. Maybe we should make a video overall, but the problem is people are such bite-sized learners, right? If we made a video that covered the whole thing, it'd probably be like an hour long and people wouldn't watch all of that. So instead, what we've done is, like I said, come to listing 1, read what it's about, and then we have a video for each one. So you would, if I'm importing my listing from Airbnb and I want to learn how to do that, just watch this video and it would show you exactly how to do it. Now I got to set up my rules. Rules are things like, when you want to get paid, what's your max guest count, how long you want your calendar open. We got a video that goes over all of that. Setting up your rates. There's 2 videos that talk about that. So yeah, each section has their own video that are each, like I said, about 5 minutes long, because people nowadays won't watch an hour-long video. So how do we create the blog? So, I mean, if you are using the hosted website, it is built into that. So here on the hosted website, one of them I had a blog. Was it this one? I think it was this one. So anyways, yeah, when you set up the blog there, you'd set up settings and, what you want the blog called, a description of the blog, what your default images are, for posts. If you share a link to Facebook, what image do you want shown? Do you want the blog post image shown or your logo or whatnot? So anyways, you'd set those things up, and then you just basically come in here and write a post, and you'd create the title, what you want the slug to be, when you can pre-create them and say, I don't want it published until, I'm going to create a post now, but I won't want it shown on my website till the 10th. What category that post, so you could have multiple categories, and the image for this exact post, and then write your body and whatnot. And on mine, just FYI, a couple of these, like that kids one I actually did write, but this wineries and vineyards one, me and my wife, that's just not our thing. We don't go to a lot of wineries, but it's a big thing in my area. I wrote this with ChatGPT. I said, tell me about the top 5 wineries in Blue Ridge, Georgia. And it spit out some content for me. I went to their websites and linked these to their websites. I added in photos that I found on their websites. And I wrote this specific blog post in probably 15, 30 minutes. I don't know. So yeah, but pretty easy to make the blog. So Vlad says, hello, do we set up our listings in Ownerrez and then push them to Airbnb? Or do we create them inside Airbnb and sync them with Ownerrez? I mean, if you're a brand new user and you don't have Airbnb listings at all, I would recommend setting them up in Ownerrez, because when you set up a property in Ownerrez, you're setting it up to connect to multiple channels. So things like, let's even just look at the description, for instance. If I come here, look at the description for this property, we have all these different fields. Like, so for instance, this headline goes to all these different channels. On Airbnb, it's called the listing title, and it can be 50 characters. For Verbo, it can be 80 characters. So, but you can also add overrides. So I could say, you know what? I want my listing headline to be different on Airbnb than it is on Verbo. So I can make an override and write stuff just for that applies to Airbnb. But once again, it's just a little bit more robust. Set it up in Ownerrez, and then when you connect to Airbnb, we will push those listings over there. Now, obviously, if you already have listings on Airbnb, then let's pull those in so you don't have to rewrite all this stuff, and you would just connect up to Airbnb. But yeah, if you're adding a new listing, let's say you got a new property in your portfolio and you don't have a listing for it, I would add it to Ownerrez and then push it over. So. Question, is there future development to make the system? Yeah, go ahead, Ari. Okay.
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask a question. We have an anonymous, somebody
Sure.
wanted to remain private.
Sure.
So they're asking, can you show how rentals in different states would look on the website? They have short-term rentals in different cities: San Diego, Tahoe City, Big Ski.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to think if I know a website right off the top that uses one. Let's see. I think this one might have. But what we would do is in that first search bar, you would just basically, there's an option to add a location setting. So this is a user that they use WordPress. So this is a WordPress based site. It's not our hosted site, but oh, I guess that there's our all in Nashville. I thought they had some in separate areas, but in this bar, you would have another box here that says location, and it would just drop down and it would have the different states. It's kind of like this right here. They've added tags for amenities. So if somebody's searching and they only want places that have fire pits, they can show just places that have fire pits. So it would be very similar for the location box, but that's how you would do it. You could also up here, a lot of times they have a link, right? Vacation homes. You could create sublinks for these are all the properties in Virginia. These are all the ones in Tennessee or whatever. So I wish I had an example of. Always when I need these examples, I forget what the best website is to pull up for it. Yeah, I mean, I know this one doesn't, I don't believe, but yeah, definitely it would be, in the search bar is how you would generally do that. There's what I'm talking about. Like there's properties up here. This is each property, but you could put other pages in here that separate it out differently. So, but definitely, and if anything, if you email us help@ownerrez.com with that specific question, I definitely could probably find you an example or show you better. I can make a Loom video that shows you exactly how to do that in the system. So,
Thank
okay.
you.
Oh, yeah, no problem, Ari. Yeah. Bonnie asks, is there future development to make the system interface more friendly to use? Clicking an option changes the whole screen many times, and it's hard to remember where you started from. So, yeah, there was actually just a webinar yesterday. So, called Under the Hood with the Engineers. So, I don't know if you're an existing user, but I would definitely recommend watching that. So in there, they actually showed off our new interface. We are looking at changing some things where there's going to be a different sidebar. Basically, rather than the menu being on top like this, most of the menu is going to be across the side here. and then would reload in this frame and whatnot. So yes, that is coming up. I just want to see, do they have it posted yet? Yeah, right here. So, and I can send it, I'm going to send some links to Ari that he's going to send out to you. So I will send this one as well. But yeah, if you have an extra hour, you've already listened to me for a while, but this one goes over a lot of what our future changes are. So hopefully that will help.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Oh, and Bonnie says she's a user already. Yeah, and that is always the problem in the past with Ownerrez has been around 11 years. I guess I didn't say that too. A lot of these other softwares, they might look a lot nicer up front, but they don't have the robustness we have. Like Bonnie says, she loves the robustness. A lot of them lead you down a path like this is how you should do a booking, and we don't believe in pigeonholing you like that, I guess, for lack of a better word. We want you to be able to run your business the way you want to run your business. So we give you a lot of logic and settings to set up to do that. Once you set up the settings, it's funny, I get people telling me in the beginning, oh, this is so difficult and I can't figure it out and whatever. And we help you through that. But then that same user a month later will go, wow, now that everything's set up, it's so awesome. It's so easy. So it is just getting past some of this initial setup. But yeah, Bonnie, if you're an existing user, definitely watch this under the hood. I think you'll get a lot out of that. There's a lot of exciting things coming with our messaging and all sorts of stuff, and they talk about all of that. So how to compare price management versus price labs. So yeah, I mean, if you want to use the Ownerrez's pricing, what we do is we set up everything as a season. We encourage you to put in seasons, so they don't have to be spring, winter, fall. A season could be, blueberry picking festival or whatever is in your area that you think you need, more bookings for. Um, so I tell people this is setting up for like a macro period of time, right? So I want to be able to change my rates across a bunch of dates at once. So you set up those seasons, and the seasons can have different rules, right? Like, so in here in spring, I have a 7 minimum nights, but for Christmas, I'm only doing 4 minimum nights or whatever. Also in Christmas here, maybe my cleaners told me, look, for those periods, we're not working the weekends. So I've said, okay, well, I've set arrival restrictions where people cannot arrive on Sunday or Saturday and they can't depart on Sunday or Saturday. Um, that's kind of a really cool feature that you might not be able to do directly on the channel because, normally on the channel, you just block those days. But the problem with blocking them is now somebody can't book Friday to Monday, right? But now I've just set arrival restrictions. So they can't check in or check out those days, but they can still book across those days. Anyways, you set up the seasons, and then when we come into rates, you can easily, once again, talking about seasonal rates, I have my seasons, and the yellow ones are what apply today. So it's April 4th. My default is all year long. I always tell people set up a default because that's kind of like your catch-all. Basically, if you didn't have another rate layered somewhere, at least I have one underlying. But spring is what's really driving the bus per se right now, because your shortest season always takes precedence. These can layer. But right now, if I said, man, I'm not getting as many bookings for these properties as I think I should, I want to decrease my rates. I can just set those and I can come in and set rates and decrease them by 10%, right? So now these rates are going to push automatically over to Airbnb and Vrbo. So basically, if you want to be in full control of your rates, like you probably are on Airbnb now, you can do that with Ownerrez. Here, if seasonal rates are macro, this is the micro level. So once again, I'm saying, well, today is the 4th. And we see these bold ones. These are custom rates. So I've already changed these rates. That's why they're showing as bold. The ones that aren't bold are being driven by the season. In this case, our spring season. But I'm coming up and I'm saying, you know what? This week's coming up and it's not booked, and I really want to get it booked. So let's go ahead and we're gonna set the rates, and I'm gonna say decrease these. Once again, let's just do it by a percentage. I'm gonna decrease it by 5%, see what happens. So now that I've changed those, you see they're bold because they're custom set, and those are going to push over. Once again, if that cleaner calls me and says, I can't clean on Friday, and normally my cleaner cleans upon departure, I say, no problem. I select that date, I set a rule, and I set a changeover rule. I'm going to say arrival is still allowed on that day. I don't care if anybody checks in on that day Because if somebody checked out on Thursday, it should be clean, right? If she's cleaning on departure. But I'm not going to allow anybody to depart on that day. So now, once again, somebody could book Tuesday through Saturday, but they could not book Tuesday to Friday. It wouldn't allow them to check out on Friday. So these are how rates work in Ownerrez. If you're using Price Labs or Wheelhouse or any of the other ones, you would set your pricing there. They would come in as Ownerrez as what we call spot rates. So each individual night would come in with their minimum nights and all of that and any restrictions, and we would pass those to Airbnb and Vrbo for you. So, but basically, they use algorithmic based pricing. So they'll actually look at how much availability is in your area, things of that nature, and they'll change the price accordingly. Whereas with Ownerrez, we don't do it algorithmically. We do it based on, settings and rules, basically. So, does Ownerrez have a listing automatically boost function? Do you have to pay extra? No, we do not have a boost function. I mean, if Vrbo has boost, and you guys probably know better than me. Does Airbnb have a boost function? If so, you can probably still do that from the channel, but we don't have that. They don't give us that capability through the API. A lot of things, Airbnb, when they develop things, they'll develop it for the platform first. And then it might take a couple of months, if ever, that it's passed over to the API. So there are times, I don't know, when that big spring update came out where they had, AI driven stuff and whatnot. We had no control over that because they didn't code any of that to the API. It was just coded in their platform. But yeah, no, we don't have a boost function per se. Question, if we manage properties in different countries, I'm in Canada, but I have clients that want me to manage theirs in France. Are we able to split the payout method to only receive my management fee while the owner in a different country receives his share? How would it work for currency conversion? So yeah, each listing you are able to set up a different culture for, we call it. So you could set up, if this property is in France, you could set the culture for it as France, right? So right now I'm using my account culture, which is English US dollar, but I could come in here and say, I want to set this property to French, and it's going to be on the euro. And that's also going to change how dates are shown and things of that nature. But anyways, each listing also can have a separate payment processor. So if you are using Stripe, for instance, and you have all your properties are coming into one bank account, you could set up a different Stripe account for that French property and have it go into his bank account or a different bank account. And then in the PM module, you can set up those commission levels and determine. Generally, most PMs collect the money and then pay the owner out, because that really gives you the most control. If you send the money direct to the owner, it's hard sometimes. They might have a month where they say, well, you didn't give me enough bookings, so I'm not going to pay you. I mean, whereas when you're getting the money up front and then you run all the statements and you show, hey, I generated $100,000 in revenue for you this month, and after my commission and my expenses, I owe you 80,000 of it, and you pay them the $80,000. So that's how most PMs do it, but you can set it up both ways. There are people who are, co-hosts or whatever that want the money to go directly to the owner. You are able to set it. That's, once again, the nice thing about Ownerrez, we don't pigeonhole you into doing your business one certain way. So, but that's all the questions I see there.
Nice.
Well, how are we doing on time, Ari? I don't.
Well, we did go over a little bit, but
Okay.
there was a lot of questions, so
Yeah,
it's nice
absolutely.
that we were able to get through most of them. I
Yeah.
did want to give a final plug. We do have an affiliate relationship with Ownerrez on the group, so at no additional cost to the members. But if anybody would like to support the group and use that link that we're posting on the Facebook page, and that would really help us out as a group to grow and to continue doing what we're doing. And we're going to continue having these types of webinars going forward. And we're really appreciative to Steve for taking time out of his day today. Also wanted to say that for anybody who was not able to make it today, we are going to post the recording with all relevant links and everything as well, so that people maybe they had a question or they want to review parts of this presentation, that will be available as well. And if there are any questions that were not answered, you can mail us, and Steve may be able to get us separate videos that we could post for those as well.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah. I just wanted to say, all right, that one user that couldn't be here today that sent in that nice list of questions, I will here shortly make a video just for you with those questions. I'll email you that to you and Ellie, and you guys can post that as well. So be
excellent.
more answers coming, but
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much again, and thank you everybody who was able to join, and we look forward to continuing this. We
absolutely.
have a final question there.
Oh, okay. What was it? Let's see.
He wants to book a meeting with you.
Oh, yeah. Vlad, go ahead and email just help@ownerrez.com, and just tell them, yeah, I just listened to Steve on a webinar and we want to book a meeting. I also have a demo that's very similar to what we went through, but might show some different things. There's one coming up. It's actually probably going on right now. But we have that weekly. We kind of do this weekly for all of our clients. So, and on the screen now, I think I'm still sharing my screen. These are all our support, references. So, like I said, we have our own forums. If you ever have a question, how something's done, but maybe you want to find out from other users like Bonnie, how something's done, they can actually post to that and help you out. We have all these support videos, like we talked about, support documentation. All of this is available. And we're not, some of our competitors put this all behind a paywall, like, right? You can't get to it until you're using their software. Ours are all out in the open. We don't have anything to hide. So you can access these at any time and read up and learn about the software prior to using it. So, but
Excellent. Thank you very much.
all right. Well, you guys have a great day.
You too. Be well. Take care.
Okay.